In the Matola district, there is land that has not grown a single thing in 11 years. The locals call it Chalawaye Mafu, the dead field. No one goes there anymore, except one man. Elias Nkomo is 38 years old. He has $214 in a tin box under his bed. He has a wife, 2 daughters, and a mother who cannot walk without help. And he has just bought this field for $90. His wife Adiz did not argue when he told her. She just kept cutting. She asked one question. What does dead land grow, Elias? He had no answer that night. He had worked as a day laborer on other men's farms for 9 years. 9 years of planting crops in soil that was not his. 9 years of watching other men count the harvest. The land he bought sat 8 kilometers from the nearest market in Matola town. The previous owner, a man named Senor Felipe, had tried maize there twice. Nothing came. He sold it fast and never looked back. 3 months before he bought the land, Elias walked 4 kilometers to attend a soil health workshop at the Matola District Hall. He almost did not go. It was a rainy season. His boots were leaking. The speaker was Dr. Celeste Mwangi, an agronomist who had worked in Kenya, Ethiopia, and Zimbabwe. She spoke about land that everyone had given up on. She said, "Salt-damaged soil is not dead. It is waiting." Elias sat with his arms crossed for the first hour. He had heard promises before, from NGOs, from government programs, from men in clean shoes who left by 4 p.m. He was not here to believe. He was here because there was nowhere else to be. Then Dr. Mwangi showed one slide. A tree whose roots went deeper than the damage. Moringa oleifera, she said, does not ask the soil to be perfect. It asks the soil to try. Something shifted behind Elias's eyes. After the workshop, Elias waited until everyone else had left. He asked Dr. Mwangi one question. If the soil has too much salt, can moringa survive the first season if I grow it from seed? She did not answer immediately. That pause told him she was being honest. He bought the land 6 weeks later, for $90, the price of a problem no one wanted. He spent $38 on moringa seeds from an agricultural supplier in Maputo, enough to plant 400 seedling holes. His remaining $86 went on basic tools, gypsum for soil treatment, and a second-hand watering drum with crack he sealed with epoxy and prayer. Adiz said nothing on the morning he started. She handed him a cloth and a bottle of water. Her silence was louder than any argument. He did not look back down the road. He planted in rows 1 meter apart, the spacing that maximizes leaf production. He mixed 80 kilograms of gypsum powder into the top layer of soil across the whole plot, to begin breaking down the salt bonds. It took 11 days to plant all 400 seeds. 11 days alone, in a field that gave back nothing but heat. The older farmers in the area came to look once. Senhor Abilio, who had farmed maize in the district for 30 years, called across the field, "You are watering dust, boy." Elias kept digging. He had learned that silence was its own kind of answer. On the 23rd day after planting, he found the first sign, a seedling, pale green, no taller than his finger. He knelt in the dust and stared at it for a long time. Moringa oleifera, the drumstick tree, the miracle tree, is one of the fastest growing trees on earth. What makes it exceptional for damaged soil is its taproot. Grown from seed, it drives straight down, past the salt-damaged upper layers, into the moisture and nutrients below. Elias used 3 techniques together. First, gypsum amendment, 80 kilograms across his plot, to break the salt bonds in the upper 30 centimeters of soil. Second, moringa leaf mulch around each plant base, which reduced surface evaporation and slowly released nutrients back into the earth. Third, he planted sun hemp in the rows between the moringa, a fast-growing legume that fixed nitrogen directly back into the soil. At 4 months, he began topping each tree, cutting the main stem just above the leaf node to force the plant to branch wide instead of growing tall. This is the secret of commercial moringa leaf production. The harvest is not the fruit. It is the leaves. Wide, many branch trees produce leaves by the kilogram, harvest after harvest. Dried moringa leaf powder was selling in Maputo health markets for between $3.20 and $4.80 per kilogram. In his first harvest at 6 months, he collected 38 kilograms of fresh leaves. It takes 8 kilograms of fresh leaves to produce 1 kilogram of dried powder, so that harvest yielded him 4.75 kilograms. Revenue, $19. A small number, but the soil had proved it was alive. Farmers in India's Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh have cultivated moringa for generations. It is one of the most important crops in southern India. In Haiti, smallholder cooperatives in the rural hills grow moringa on eroded hillsides, turning damaged land into a powder that reaches health food stores in the United States. In Bangladesh coastal zones, families now grow moringa precisely because it tolerates saline soil better than almost anything else they can plant. What Elias discovered on his own, these farmers had known for decades. By month 18, the field looked nothing like the field he had bought. He had 380 trees producing leaves. 20 did not survive the first dry season, but the rest held. He had found 4 buyers in Maputo who took his powder on a regular order. He was earning $210 a month. Not wealth, but stability, something he had never had before. Then the dry season that came in his second year was different. Not dry, empty, no rain from April to October, 7 consecutive months with nothing. The Meteorological Institute in Maputo would later call it the worst dry stretch the southern provinces had seen in 30 years. By July, 140 of his trees were showing severe stress. Leaves browning, stems thinning. He was hauling water from a borehole 1.6 kilometers away, 200 liters a day in a drum on a cart, in 37-degree heat. It was not enough. In August, his largest buyer in Maputo canceled the order. The reason? Inconsistent supply. He understood. He could not argue with it. He sat in the field until it was too dark to see his hands. Adiz had kept the household accounts every week without being asked. When he came in that night, she showed him the book without a word. They had $38 left. Their next school fee payment was due in 19 days. He lay there that night and did something he had not done in 30 years. He let himself think about quitting, not as weakness, as a calculation. If he stopped now, could he find day labor work again in time to save the school year? He did not quit. Instead, on a Tuesday morning, he walked to the internet cafe in town and spent $1.20 on 2 hours of connection. He searched for one thing: moringa drought survival techniques. What he found changed everything. A research extension paper described a technique called deficit microirrigation, giving plants not what they want, but the minimum they need to survive, combined with greywater recycling, redirecting household and kitchen wastewater directly to root zones. It could sustain established moringa through a long dry period on almost no external water supply. He read the paper 3 times. Then he walked home and picked up his hoe. He spent 4 days digging 280 meters of hand-cut channels between his rows. He lined the base with clay dug from a dry stream bed nearby. Then he ran a pipe from his kitchen drain across the yard and into the first channel. Every drop of D's used to wash dishes or rinse vegetables, redirected straight to the roots of the trees. It was not elegant. It was not modern. But within 3 weeks, 94 of the 140 stress trees began producing new leaf growth. Not because the rains came back, because he gave the soil just enough reason to try. By November, 3 months after the drought peaked, he delivered his first post-crisis order to Maputo: 68 kilograms of fresh leaves, 8.5 kilograms of dried powder. His former buyer took the order back and offered him a standing contract for 20 kilograms of powder per month at $4.50 per kilogram. 3 years after he bought dead land for $90, the field produces 28 kilograms of dried moringa powder every month. Monthly revenue, between $90 and $135 per month, depending on the season, every cent of it his. The standing contract alone covers a family's school fees, food, and his mother's medical visits with money to spare. He employs 2 women from the district, Lucia, 44, and Fatima, 29, each earning $28 per week. Both had no formal income before. Lucia is saving to repair her roof. Fatima is paying her son's secondary school fees. Dr. Mwangi brought a group of agricultural students to the field in the 3rd year. She had them photograph the irrigation channels and the soil amendment approach. She used Elias's greywater system as a case study in her next regional seminar on drought adaptation. He stood at the back of the room and said nothing. He did not need to. Both daughters are in school. fees paid, books bought, uniforms washed and ironed every Sunday. He watches them leave every morning from the same gate. And every morning, the same thing moves through him that he has no word for. Sometimes, before anyone else is awake, he walks out here. He stands between the trees he grew from dust. He does not celebrate. He just breathes. Everyone who looked at that land saw an ending. Elias looked at the same land and saw a question no one had been patient enough to ask. That is not a farming lesson. That is a human one. The most abandoned things in your life, the idea that failed, the version of yourself you buried, the dream you stopped speaking aloud, they are not dead. They are salt-damaged soil. They are waiting for someone stubborn enough to try the right question. That someone has always been you. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Farm Surge so you never miss any video.